You know that feeling, right? You're just driving along, everything's fine, and then, bam, your dashboard lights up. It's that little moment of panic every driver knows. And two lights that can really get your heart pumping are the ABS and the brake warnings. So, okay, let's dive in and figure out what in the world your car is trying to tell you.
So you see these two warnings pop up. Is it something minor, or is this a major pull over right now kind of problem? It's a super important question. These lights are your car's only way of talking to you, of letting you know something's wrong with its brakes. Now, ignoring them is a definite no-go, but you don't have to panic either. Let's just break it all down, step by step.
All right, first things first. Even though these two lights often show up together, they actually have very different jobs. Understanding what each one means by itself is really the first step in playing detective with your car. So let's put them side by side.
Okay, so check this out. There's a big difference here. The brake light, that's often the simple one. It could be something as basic as you forgot to release the parking brake, or you might just be low on brake fluid. Easy stuff. The ABS light, on the other hand, well, that's pointing to something a little more high-tech. It means the anti-lock braking computer has found a fault somewhere and has probably logged a specific code about it.
You know, to really get what's going wrong, it helps to understand how the system is supposed to work when everything is going right. So let's do a quick deep dive into the tech behind your anti-lock braking system.
So here it is, the whole shebang. The main goal of ABS, the whole reason it exists, is to keep your wheels from locking up and skidding when you slam on the brakes. This is what lets you steer around trouble instead of just sliding straight into it. And it's really a team effort between a few key parts. At the center of it all, you've got the Electronic Control Unit, or ECU. Just think of this as the brain of the whole operation. It's constantly crunching data from the sensors, and when it sees a wheel is about to lock up, it makes a split-second call to step in.
So how does the brain know what's happening out at the wheels? Well, it has its eyes and ears, the wheel speed sensors. There's one on each wheel, and their only job is to constantly report back how fast that wheel is spinning. This data is absolutely critical for the whole system to work.
And finally, you have the muscles of the system, the modulator unit. When the brain yells go, the modulator is what actually does the work. It can rapidly pulse the brake pressure on a single wheel. We're talking incredibly fast, sometimes up to 15 times a second. That's what stops the skid and keeps you in control.
Okay, so now that we're all experts on how it's supposed to work, let's get into the good stuff, why it fails. We're going to start with the most common reasons your ABS light decides to ruin your day.
The list of usual suspects is actually pretty interesting. It could be something as simple as low voltage from your battery, which can just confuse the computer. Or it might be physical damage, like a wire to a sensor got snagged. But it can also be a bad wheel bearing, or even just a dirty part called a tone ring. And of course, the ABS module itself can fail. But one of these is a little surprising, right?
I mean, it seems weird, doesn't it? A wheel bearing is a big, greasy mechanical part. How on earth can it trigger a warning from a sophisticated computer? Well, the answer is a big yes, it absolutely can. And honestly, it's one of the most common causes that people tend to overlook. So here's the key. In most modern cars, the ABS sensor is actually built right into the wheel bearing assembly. They're a package deal. So if that bearing starts to fail and gets wobbly, it can mess up the distance to the sensor. Or if the magnetic ring inside gets dirty or damaged by tiny metal bits from the failing bearing, boom, the signal gets garbled and the ABS light comes on.
To really get this, we need to look at the two parts that work together. First, you've got this thing, the tone ring, or sometimes called an exciter ring. It spins with the wheel, and as every single one of those little teeth zips past the sensor, it creates a tiny electrical pulse. The faster the pulse is, the faster the computer knows the wheel is spinning. And here's its partner in crime, the wheel speed sensor itself. It's basically a little magnet with a coil of wire. It sits incredibly close to that tone ring, just reading those teeth as they fly by. Any little thing that messes up this partnership, whether it's dirt, damage, or a wobbly bearing, is going to trigger that warning light on your dash. Feeling a little overwhelmed? Don't be. You don't always have to run straight to a mechanic with your wallet open. There are actually a few pretty simple things you can check yourself to start figuring out the problem. Let's run through a quick diagnostic checklist. Rule number 1. Always start with the easiest and cheapest things first. It could just be a blown fuse, a super simple fix. Checking your brake fluid is another must-do. If those both look good, then grabbing an OBD2 scanner to check for trouble codes is the next logical step. And you know what? Just taking a look at the wiring near each wheel can sometimes show you a really obvious break or cut.
And for that very first step, checking the fuse, you really don't need a lot of gear.
Your car's owner's manual is going to be your best friend. It'll show you exactly where the fuse box is and which fuse to look for. All you need is a little fuse puller, the right replacement fuse, and maybe some gloves. That's it.
So, what if the easy checks don't solve it? What if the problem points to something deeper, like the brain of the system, that ABS module? This is where things can get a bit expensive. But hold on, you've definitely got options.
You know, there's a piece of wisdom from the online car forums that really hits the nail on the head. When you see both of those lights on at the same time, it's often a clue that you're looking at something more serious than just a sensor. The odds of it being an issue with the main ABS module just went way, way up.
So if the module is the culprit, you've got a decision to make. For a lot of common electronic failures, you can actually send your module out to be repaired, which is usually the most cost-effective route. If it's really badly damaged, though, a brand new replacement might be your only choice. And then there's the middle ground, rebuilt or remanufactured modules, which can give you a great balance between cost and reliability.
So look, if you only take one thing away from all this, please let it be this. These warning lights are not just annoying clutter on your dashboard. They are critical safety alerts. It means your anti-lock brakes are turned off, maybe even your stability control. You need to get it checked out. Don't ignore it.